Hey everybody, welcome to day 13 of the Fill My Cup Challenge. I'm Lelo, and today I want to speak to you guys about the story in Matthew 14 where Jesus, feeds the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, right? And I specifically want to focus on the part where Jesus is speaking to the disciples. So Jesus and the disciples have been ministering to crowds and, it's getting late and it's getting dark. And the disciples say to Jesus, you know what? It's almost evening. It's getting late. Send the people home so that they can get something to eat, right? And Jesus says, no, they don't have to go home. You give them something to eat, okay? And this is what the disciples say. They say, we have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. Jesus responds, bring them here to me. And he told the people to sit down on the grass, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. Okay? The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. And I just was looking at how Jesus challenges the disciples, right? Like, I feel like this was a stretch of their faith. So they're in a situation where there's a lot to do, but they feel like what they have is not enough. And Jesus's response is, these people don't need to go away. You give them something to eat. And this forces them to look at what they do have, right? It forces them to check themselves, because sometimes we've got instructions from God, but we don't know how to implement because we feel like what we have is not enough, right? And I think maybe the lesson in the scripture is that Jesus never expects us to bring what we don't have, right? Jesus doesn't deny the fact that they've got 5 loaves and 2 fish. He just says, bring it here to me. Their job was to acknowledge what they did have, right? And sometimes we're so caught up on not having enough. We're so caught up in seeing lack that we miss that what we have is all God requires of us. And my encouragement today to you is just do the best with what you have, and God will do the rest, okay? And this is what we see Jesus do in the scripture, right? He tells the disciples to bring what they have, and then he does the rest. And I believe that this is how God works with us, right? We don't have to get caught up in feeling like what we don't have is not enough. God knows what we have. God knows the gifts we have. God knows the amount of provision we have. God knows the amount of skills we have. All we need to do is be faithful over what we do have and trust God to do the rest, okay? So have a lovely one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.